ല്ലോ നല്ല ബുദ്ധിയ എൻ്റെ മനസ്സിലും നല്ല ഭാഷയായി നാവിൻ്റെ തുമ്പിലും നല്ല ചെയ്തിയ എൻ പിഞ്ചു കയ്യിലും നന്മയായി നീ കടന്നിരിക്കണമേ. എങ്ങുമെങ്ങും നിറയും വെളിച്ചമേ എൻ കരളിൽ കുടിയിരിക്കണമേ. എൻ്റെ പാദമിടറാതിരിക്കുവാൻ എന്നും എന്നിൽ ദയ ചൊരിയണമേ.
Thank you, Malavika. Let's invite Nandu CJ Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, for welcome speech.
Good evening all. Respected Chair Dr. Uma Jyoti Ma'am, respected resource person Sri V. Sriram Sir, faculties and research scholars from various departments, and dear students. Today we are conducting our 61st webinar on the topic Introduction to Academic Blogging. In the post-pandemic period, all the academic institutions now focus on blended model of learning. In this new pedagogy, the academic community depends more on online resources than on offline sources. In this circumstance, a proper guidance on academic blogging is necessary. Today, we have an expert in this field, Dr. V. Sriram Sir, the Chief Librarian at Center for Development Studies. He joined Center for Development Studies in 2010. Before that, he was working with British Council as Assistant Librarian. While I was doing my post-graduation, I used to visit CDS Library. Since then, I know Sriram Sir. He is a very service-oriented person. Due to his helping mentality, he is very famous among the academic fraternity. The CDS Library is one of the largest libraries in South India, especially for social science subjects. The K.N. Raj Library has access to immense number of online resources. We are very fortunate to have Sri V. Sriram Sir as our resource person. On behalf of Department of Economics, I welcome V. Sriram Sir to this webinar.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome,
Thank
sir.
you.
Next, I would like to invite Dr. Uma Jyoti, HOD, Department of Economics. There is no need to introduce Uma teacher. She is the power behind all the academic activities initiated in our department, especially the efforts rendered by her for the smooth conduct of the webinars is priceless. I welcome Uma ma'am on behalf of all the participants of this webinar.
Thank you, Nandu.
Welcome. Next, I would like to welcome Professor Prema, former HOD of our department. I would like to welcome all the faculty and resource person of various departments who are participating in this webinar. And the success of any webinar depends on the active participation and support from the students. I welcome all students who are present here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The best thing about life is that we always have the opportunity to try and learn new things. Today, we are fortunate to have V. Sriram Sir, who will introduce academic blogging to us. Sriram Sir is currently working as the Chief Librarian of K.N. Raj Library, Center for Development Studies, Thiruvananthapuram. He had earlier worked with Institute for Human Resource Development, the British Library, Thiruvananthapuram. He has been an ardent advocate of library automation and modernization and customer-centric services. There is much more to tell about him, but I am just concluding because we have a lot to learn from him. With much love and respect, I invite Sriram Sir to today's session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. May I know whether the screen is visible?
Yes, sir, it's possible.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay, so thank you so much for the great introduction, respected head of the department, Umajodi madam, uh, Dr. Nandu, and other faculty members, research scholars, students, and prospective bloggers. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come and share with you a few thoughts on blogging. Even though we have named it as academic blogging, it need not entirely come within the gambit of academic blogging. You can look at non-academic blogging also. Uh, in the course of next 1 hour, we will be quickly looking at uh, basically what is blogging, uh, how you can manage blogs in an easy way, what are the techniques for that. Then we will look at how to publish in blogs, in public blogs that are already placed on the internet. We will take one example of a blog on Kerala studies called Ala, of which I am a co-editor. Then we will look at how social networking can be used effectively for providing wider visibility for your blogs. Then we will go through a demonstration on two blogging platforms. One is WordPress and second one is Blogger. We will look at both actually. At any point of time, if I'm going very fast, you can always ask me to slow down. If what I'm saying is not very clear, please ask me to repeat. And if there is any technical problems also, kindly alert me so that I will take action accordingly. So what is a blog basically? Somewhere about 30 years back, when internet started becoming popular, users of the internet started using the blogging, the platform of internet for writing journals or writing diaries. These are things which we used to do in a print format, right? The generations before you, because you people are all the Y2K generation. The generation before you used to write diaries and such formats on a printed paper with pen. And when internet started coming up, they used to use a platform like that for maintaining their day-to-day activities. That log, that used to be called as web log, the log where you record your day-to-day life in a diary like format. And this modern day format which you used to share online used to be called weblog, which later as a truncation became very popular as blog. That is how the terminology came into being. The first blogs used to come out somewhere in 95 96 through to 2000, the year, the Y2K. That was a period when this platform became very popular for people to start writing in a big way. And this is either a personal life recording facility, or you can call it as an information sharing facility also. The microblogging facilities, as what you call as Facebooks or Twitter or WhatsApp or Telegram or Instagram, didn't exist at that time. So the information shareability feature for an ordinary user of the internet used to be through this medium. Actually, not everybody could afford to have a personal website and share it through them also. So these public sharing platforms for blogging used to be the very popular medium at that time. And writers, or rather any ordinary person, used to share their views on any topic of their choice. It could be their hobbies, it could be their interest, it could be their subject of learning, it can be any matter. That is what they used to share. And each item which is shared on a blog is called post, or what we call as blog post. Just like in a journal or a magazine, what you see, there is an article or there is a special article, etc. In blogging terminology, each recorded entity is called a post or a blog post. You will, in the next 1 hour, you will see me speaking about posts in a big way. So you can think that this is basically equivalent to an article or a short article. That's all. And in a blog format, it's a reversed chronological order in which it is listed out. Basically, what happens is that when a new post is published on a blog, the older one moves downwards and the latest one is shown on the top. And when the next post is published, the previous one will move downwards and the latest one will again come on the top. So it is always the latest post will show on the top of the blog. As soon as you open xyz.com, whatever is the website of that blog, when you open, basically the latest post will be displayed on the top, and it's in a reversed chronological order. Previous ones will be shown below. So users can scroll down and read the post that has been shared by the author. And there used to be facility, and there is a facility for readers to share their comments about what they have read, and others can reply to the comment, etc., etc. All those features which you see on Facebook or Twitter these days for commenting to a post, that exist on the blogging platform also. And what is the purpose of having a blog? The main purpose for which this format came into existence itself is that users can share their viewpoints on any matters of their choice. There is no restriction at all. Unless that whatever you write is illegal, you can write and share whatever your thoughts, your opinions, without any fear on these platforms. And another great feature is that you can connect with your relevant audience. See, the limitation of having a meeting where people have to come and sit in a room and then discuss. Instead of that, you have a thought, you just write it down and share it, so that a lot of people can read that, and whatever comments they have about it, they will share it in the same place, and in the same way a discussion can evolve out of it. So this is a great medium to engage and discuss based on your thoughts. So now what can you understand about this? I understand that there are a lot of prospective bloggers who are attending this session. So please tell me, what do you think are the topics, or what are you going to write out of after learning from this session? Tell me, come on. Please unmute yourself and speak out. What are the topics, or what are the things that you think you can write about in a blog? Come, please go ahead. Everyone. Research scholars, students, come and tell me. What are you going to write about? Yes?
Our hobbies, ideas about a specific topic.
Yes, what topic?
A specific topic.
Go ahead. What topic?
Relevant topic.
Yes, on relevancy on what?
Any topics which we would like to share with others.
That is the fundamental of blogging. Now you have come bang onto the target. See, that is what is most interesting about internet, is that Your reading has to be very wide, your understanding about what is happening across the world around you, and you just write about it. That's it. Any topic of any relevance. It can be starting from cookery to driving to travel to designs, food, finance, music, stories, commentaries, criticism, reviews, society, environment, human rights, photography, nature. It can be anything, or your own subjects, economics or physics or chemistry or biology. Any topic you can choose, and there is no restriction about what you write also. So that is the most fun aspect of blogging. You can take it as a place where you can write without any fear. Nobody is going to judge you anyway about it. And this is the location where you can share your thoughts in a very easy and free mind, because this will be read by a lot of people. You will get a lot of attention also, and nobody is going to judge you about what you are going to write. Subject bloggings are there, of course, where there will be peer reviews, just like what you share on the internet and all, just like you write journals, etc. But otherwise, in a normal blogging platforms, what is more important is you can communicate your views and your opinion on any subject of your choice. And the most important aspect is that you connect with the relevant audience. And how do you connect with the relevant audience? You share these blog posts. Each post will have its own link, just like you have yahoo.com or google.com. There are specific blogging platforms where you can create your blog, and you can share these posts with others so that they can read it, and they can also comment on it if they are. That will lead to engagement between people. It will lead to a lot of positive discussions. It will lead to a lot of sharing of ideas. That is what is expected. This is not a very rigid, very structured, a very strict format of publishing. This is a very loose, very flexible, and very easy sort of publications, where the base idea is that you have something in your mind which you would like to share, and you share about it. It can be a poem, it can be a story, it can be your thought about something, it can be your opinion on something, it can be anything. So think what you want to write it in a simple way, and then share. That's all. And broadly, when you are starting a new blog for your own, this is the structure in which a blog is built on. There will be a header to that site where the title of that blog will be shown. Then there will be an image or a logo which you can choose. There are a lot of sites where you will get free images. Free images in the sense images that doesn't come with any copyright violation. So you can choose those images and use it for yourself, or you can take a photo with your mobile phone and upload that image also, so that you will own the copyright for that. Then just below the header, there will be a navigation menu where you will see the page links. When you open any website, you will see the links for home, about, products, services, etc., right? And if it is any academic institution, you will see home, then about, then departments, then facilities, etc., right? You will see your own college website, or all other websites. So the same way, just below the title, the header image, you will see the menu links for the pages in your blog. And below that, what you see will be the main content area, where blog posts will be shown in reverse chronological order, as what we discussed. When a new post is published, that will be shown on the top, and the previous one will move downwards, right? So you will have to scroll down to read the earlier post. That's all. So like that, and the post that was published before that will be further down, and like that it will go on to the very first post itself. And on the main content area, on the right side, you have what we call as the sidebar. The sidebars are the place where you will see a lot of links to plugins, widgets, etc. These plugins, widgets, I will not make you worry about these terminologies. Plugins, widgets doesn't mean anything very big or any confusing things. These are facilities on the internet which you can plug into your blog. That's all. For example, if you want to have an image, a facility for a calendar in your blog, there are plugins for calendars. So you have to just plug that into your blog. That's it. So that is what we call as plugin. Then there are social media widgets, like if you have a Facebook account or you have a Twitter account, etc. You can actually add that widget to your blog itself on the right side. That is where generally this is the structure, and at the bottom of the blog you have the footer area, where you have usually you give a disclaimer, then you give your contact details, etc. Disclaimers is just, you'll always say that the content that is posted here are copyright free or something like that, or you own the copyright to it, but you are not infringing upon anyone else's copyright. So the normal usual disclaimers will apply. So this is generally the structure to a blog, but it need not be that this is a strict structure. There are different types of structures for blogs which you can adopt to in whichever way you feel it is required, so that there won't be any problem for you. Any design, there are umpteen number of designs. When we look at the demonstration of blogs, I will show you. There are quite a large number of designs, free designs available, and it's called templates. So when you start a blog, you can choose any template that you like. You can change that also later on. If you don't like a template and you want it to be changed, without any problem, you can change that template also. So there won't be any issue with this at later stage also. And when you have a blog, what are the things that you need to remember? Blogging basically starts from creating a blog. If you wish to start a blog, you can go to a free blogging site. There are of course options where you can buy a website and you can own it also in your own name, which comes with a payment facility. Or if you are not interested in having a paid facility, you can start your own blog in a free website also. Like there is one called blogger.com. There is another one called wordpress.com. Then there are umpteen number of other sites like Weebly and etc. There are quite a large number of facilities, out of which most popular one that what we see is either WordPress or Blogger, and it's fairly easy to start to create your own blog. Actually, what you need to remember is just to have a name for your blog and a basic image which you want to add along with it, and you can start your blog very easily. If you are using WordPress, if you need to register first and obtain a login ID and password from the website of wordpress.com. If it is Blogger, you can use it with your normal Gmail ID itself. Anyway, when you open your Gmail ID, you will have a facility to go directly to the Blogger website, because Blogger is a service that is provided by Google. So that option is also there. And once you start a blog and you add your header image, and the next step is to set up the plugins and widgets. You can start with minimum plugins first, and later on you can move on to more and more plugins. If you need etc. additional plugins, you can think of that. Usually when you go to think of what are the blogs that you have visited, of your friends or other famous personalities. What are the plugins that you see there? If you like them, you can have the same facility in your blog also. Or if you want your blog to be very simple, you can leave it like that. It's all up to your decide. The setup facility is fairly easy and it's all customizable. And next is the process of writing, where you need to write and you need to create a post. You need to think of what you are going to write. You need to think about the title of it, then the content of it, and there should be one image or something like that, etc. to that. And you need to post this. And in blogging, what you should remember is that you should keep on posting. You should write regularly. It is not that you wrote one blog post today and next post you will make next year or something like that. No, it's not like that. Is a place where you need to engage your audience in a regular way. So you need to keep the interest. Once you start as a blogger, you should always think of writing something in a regular way, either once in a week or once in a month, so that your readers' interest will be always there, so that the readers will be always looking forward to what you are going to do. And next thing which you need to remember is share these details on internet. That is always very important. Just because you wrote something and posted it on your blog doesn't mean that it will be visible. So you need to share this, just the title of that post and the link of that, and you can share it on your own social media accounts in Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp and all other. What are the favorite social media platforms which you use? You can share it there itself, so that immediately it will be shared and forwarded by your friends and family and everyone, and people will read it, and it will get more visibility also, and people will start commenting on it. So that is what you need to remember. And you need to remember about backup also. It's not very compulsory. If you are using a free site, the backup usually is taken care of by the company itself, but still there is a facility where you can take a backup of whatever you have written, and you can save it into your computer, so that later on, if you want to move from one blog to other, like you don't like using Blogger, you want to shift to WordPress, or you are using WordPress and you want to shift to Blogger site, if you just need to take backup and then install that backup in another platform, so that you can shift your blog from one platform to other, that facility is also there. And comments management is also very important. When you write a post and when you share it on the internet in your favorite social media platforms, etc., people will read it, and they will comment for the post. So that managing the comments is also very important. So it's not very difficult, as it is the same way as you read your comments on your Facebook account or Twitter account, where people will come and post their comments. The same way people will post their comments on your blog also, on the post that you have written on your blog. And you need to just go there once in a while and read those comments, and if you have to reply to that, you can send a reply and keep on engaging your readers also. And that is what is very important. Engagement is the most important aspect, actually, along with communication. And last but not the least, what you need to remember is about the aspect of copyright and plagiarism also. So because you are sharing something on the internet, so always remember about copyright. Just because you saw something on the internet and you feel that you like it, you are not allowed to share it on your blog or anything like that. So you have to first check whether that material is well within the copyright. And if you are using that material, you need to contact that concerned person and take their permission. And in your blog post also, you need to clearly, let us say you saw a good photograph on Flickr and you thought you would like to use that for your blog post. you can use it, but first you need to take a permission from that particular photographer. You need to tell that person that you would like to use it for your blog post, and then you need to show the source and the courtesy also in your blog when you reuse that photograph. It's not only for photograph, it's not only for images, for anything that you share. Just like when you write a journal article, when you use someone else's data, someone other's words, you might give references and citation, right? Just the same way on blogging also, it is very important that you give due acknowledgement to others' ideas or others' resources that you are reusing. And whatever a copyright aspect is there, you should not infringe on that. And you can also look at Google Images and Flickr, etc., for using images, or YouTube, etc., for videos which you want to use for your blog posts. And there is a facility to search for copyright free images and videos, etc. You can, I believe all of you are aware of open access licenses, right? Creative Commons open access licenses. There are a lot of materials available on the internet in open access license. So if you want to use them, you can use them very well. There won't be any copyright restriction on those materials. But even if you are using materials without copyright also, you need to provide the proper source and citation for that. That you should remember. The source and the link from which you have taken that material should be clearly shown in your blog post also. That you should always remember. And plagiarism is something which you should always be careful of when you are writing something. When you take others' words, don't take all those material as it is and paste it in your. People have this tendency that you want to write something, you just search Google and you will find a paragraph of whatever you are looking for in a Wikipedia articles. What you is it's easy that you need to just copy and paste it in your post, right? That is something you should clearly avoid. Gone are the days, all of you are not school children, you are all in a college now. You are moving on to either your undergraduation or your post graduation, or some of you are research scholars. So plagiarism is something which all of you should be very much careful about. Whatever you write, whose ideas you take, it should be very clearly shown in your blog post also. And you are not allowed to take material from others' publications directly. You can refer to others' publications, you can give proper attributions to others' words and ideas, but you should not copy paste large portion of materials. Maximum that think of. So now you can ask me how much you can take. You can put a limit on yourself. You can say, let us say maximum 10 words from a paragraph or something like that you can think of, until and unless it is very essential that it is a definition or something you are taking. Of course, then you can think first whether the definition is required or not. If the definition is indispensable, think how much you can place it in your post in less and less words from a external resource. So always be aware of copyright as well as plagiarism. So that is very much important. And when you are writing a blog post, what is very important, the technique of blogging is always very important. The idea here is that you need to provide maximum visibility to your post, whatever you are writing. What do we want? We want to communicate our ideas, right? And what do we expect? We expect that more and more people should come to your blog post and read it and comment on it, right? There are all kinds of questions in your mind when you start writing a blog post. What is there that I can write about, or where do you want us to start, or what should I say about, how many words should I use to write this post, etc. Fair enough. These are the things which you should always keep it in mind. But please also remember that your first post is not going to be your masterpiece. So keep on practicing, keep on writing. Your first blog post that you write would sometimes be very boring. But there is no problem at all. You can always come back and edit it and make it good, and you can keep on improving as and when you keep on writing also. So don't think that you want to write a perfect blog post in your first instance itself. That may not be possible always. So whatever your mind gets stuck onto, whatever is your interest that you want to write about, whatever is your story that you want to tell to others, or the instance that you want to relate to others, or you want to write a review about a book, or you want to write a review about something else, you want to write a review about a movie, or you want to write a review about a program that you watched, you can keep on writing. There is nothing short in this world to write about. There are umpteen number of topics around you on which you have your own interest. Obviously all of you have come to attend this session itself because all of you want to write blogs, right? So that is most important. So what you want to write is entirely left to you to choose about, and you can find a useful topic either for sharing information, or for sharing ideas, or for sharing your own thoughts, and to lead discussion out of it. And what you should remember, you start with a very apt title. That is most important always. Whatever topic that you want to write, the title of your post should be very apt for it. It should be able to clearly compel the reader to come and read your post. The moment they read the title, they should feel that now they should read the post out of it. So that attraction should be there in the title itself. From the experience of serious blog post writers, what they tell us is that 8 out of 10 people who read the title will read the post. So that is the importance of it. So almost everybody who come to your blog will first read the title. 8 out of 10 people who will visit your blog will first read the title. So that if you are able to attract the reader to your post with the title itself, that is well and good. So that is the importance of the title of your blog post. You should be able to hook the reader to your article or the post that you have written with the title itself. So that should be interesting. And second aspect that you should remember is provide a good introduction. The introduction need not have the word introduction in the top itself. There is no need for that actually. The lead paragraph, the first paragraph in your post, just below the title, the first paragraph itself should have a summary, a complete summary of the post itself, so that somebody who read the first paragraph will get a fairly good idea about what you are writing, and that should be able to hook the reader to your post itself. So you should have that capacity to write a short paragraph. It should not be a very lengthy paragraph, but it should have a clear statement, and that should be irresistible also, to ensure that the reader will be felt that they should come and read the post itself. And after the title, we saw that 8 out of 10 people will definitely read the title. And the second most popular part in a blog post which any reader in the internet will read is this first paragraph, or what we call as the introduction paragraph. So this is the second most popular part in your blog post. So that you should remember, and it should be short, it should be clear, and it should be very strong, but it should be very simple to read. And you should be able to kindle the interest in the mind of the reader by writing such a compelling, summary of your post in this introduction itself. Now, the main content of the post that you are writing. The main content or the main body of the blog post should be easy to read. Don't make it very difficult. Remember that you are writing this for the public. You are not writing for a top academicians or top scientists or somebody to read. This, what you share on the internet, is something which will be visible for everybody. When somebody search the Google and they are searching for something, they might find your blog and they will come and read it also. So you should always keep it in mind that blog writing is for common general purpose readers. So the level of language that you are using should be very easy to read, and it should be very easy to skim through also. Skim, you can always understand, right? You need to divide your post into sections and subsections, and you can put numberings also if you want. Now there can be a clear section headings, and then there can be a very clear subsection headings also what you write. And below each section or subsection, you can divide your post into different paragraphs, and ideally make paragraphs as short paragraphs. You don't write very lengthy 200 word 250 word paragraphs. Always remember that your paragraphs should be maximum 5 to 6 lines. 5 to 6 lines. I'm not even saying 5 to 6 sentences. 5 to 6 lines as what you read it on the device itself. Remember that 50 to 60% readers of your blog post will be reading it through mobile phones, right? You need to just look at your own example. Which device do you mostly use for reading? Obviously, it is your mobile phone. So, if you write a very lengthy paragraph, or have you ever read a very lengthy paragraph on your mobile? Have you read? Think about it now and see. So you can actually take experience from your own reading also to decide how you want to write. So if you make it a short paragraph, the reader's eyes will get a bit of a break when they move to the next paragraph also. So that is very convenient to read. So always divide your post into different sections, and within that different subsections also wherever required, and divide your post into small paragraphs having maximum 5 to 6 lines also. Wherever required, you can put numbered bulleted list also. You can insert tables, you can insert images, you can insert charts. See, remember that one photograph is equivalent to 1,000 words. That used to be the idea, right? When you are also told about it, one paragraph, or you can write umpteen number of paragraphs also. But if you just put one table there, people will be able to understand it very easily. So think about it. If you want, if a bulleted list of 5 points is sufficient, why write 500 words for that? You just need to list all those 5 sentences bullet by bullet, one below the other, because that is more easy for the user to read and understand. And you can use tables, you can use images, you can insert videos from YouTube. Any content that you feel you need to use, you can use. And these the way you actually divide your blog post into sections or subsections, and when you provide different paragraph style of writing, and you interspace it with images and tables and charts and etc., that is easy for the reader to scroll up and scroll down very fast and grasp the idea of it very quickly. So that is a more important aspect of it, that you are actually helping the user to understand what you have written, and you are actually breaking the monotony of the writing also. When you write endless paragraph after paragraph, what there will be on your screen will be just a big list of words. That's it. There will be endless paragraph of words. Only the text matter will be there, which your reader might find boring. They will read the first paragraph and then they will scroll down and they will see that there is another 200 paragraphs you have written. So they will just close the site and move on to the next one. So always remember to keep the interest of the reader in mind and provide material accordingly. And images, managing images is also very important. Find and use suitable images. Think that images will always attract the readers to your blog post. So use the correct image as much as possible. Don't use any image that you find on the internet always. Think of what is the correct suitable image for what you are writing. Because a lot of time what happens is that the reader will come to your blog post, they will read the title, they will read the introduction, then what they will do, they will immediately scroll down and see how much long the post is, and immediately they will see a very interesting image there. So what they will think, okay, so this is the image, so this, the author has written something connected to this image, so that is more important, so I should read it. That's what they might think about. So you should be able to attract the reader to your blog post using images also. That is more important. So, and interspace the images in between the text also. Don't just put the image in the top or image in the bottom. That's not, it should not be like that. You should always break the monotony of reading by placing images within the text also, so that it is it gives a break to the reader's boredom of reading also. And when you are using images, I told this the previous slide also, when you're using images or any external material, always check for the copyright issues. There should not be any copyright problem. So always use free images wherever possible. You can go to the Google image search, right? I believe all of you are well versed in using the Google image search facility. So when you go there and search for it, there is a facility where you can actually filter out images that come with Creative Commons license or material that are out of copyright also. So you can use that and select those images for your blog post. And next thing to remember is one idea, one post. Always remember that. Let us say you have written a dissertation for your PG, and you would like to write a blog post about it. Don't think of writing a very big blog post for your dissertation by converting it. That's not a good idea at all. Nobody will be able to read a 5,000 word blog post on 5 different points. That's not possible for any reader, and you will never be able to hold your reader from beginning to end by reading 5,000 words on their mobile phones also on 5 different points. So the best possible solution is that you take one idea each. Let us say your dissertation had 5 outcomes. So you think that now you have actually the facility of writing 5 blog posts about it. Instead of writing one 5,000 word big blog post, mixing up 5 different objectives, you write one post each for each of these outcomes, because each of them have their own value and your readers are also different. Some of them might be interested in one and some of them might be interested in something else also. So why should we force our readers to read everything? Instead of that, you can write 5 blog posts separately for each idea. I believe all of you understood what I'm speaking about. You should always take only one specific idea and write a post about it. You have a thought about something you want to share. You went for visit, you went for data collection, and you went to a residential locality in a poor district, a place where there is a slum, and you had several experience there. You saw people who are not feeling well. You saw people who don't have houses. You saw people who don't really have jobs. You saw disabled people there. The experience that you got from that visit would be quite revealing for you as a scholar, right? But don't mix up all that and write it into a one big long blog post. Instead, pick each one idea from that and write each post separately for one each, so that the readers also will get enough ideas about it. Now, provide hyperlinks to whatever you write. Let us say you are writing about a particular topic. You need not give a lengthy definition about what it is. Let us say you are writing about Western Ghats and its latest calamities, what is happening about. And there is no need to give a very lengthy introduction about what is Western Ghats, because Western Ghats has been already explained by a lot of other people. So you just need to write 2 sentences about Western Ghats and insert that link to that external site into your post itself. That is more than sufficient actually. And let us say you have already written several posts in your blog earlier also, and when you are writing something, a new blog post, you can also link your earlier blog post into your post here itself. These hyperlinking within your blog has got 2 advantages. One is that the total length of words that you use in your post will be short, because you will not be writing anything unnecessary. You have written something already, you just need to provide a link to that in your post, saying that if users want to read more about it, they can click that link and go to that place and read it, right? I believe the hyperlinking is something which you already are aware of. You have, when you go to websites of newspapers and when you read something, you will see the hyperlinks there, which will take you to another article, and from there it will take you to something else also. So that hyperlinking within your post is something which you should always do in a very big way, so that it brings lot of visits also. Because what happens is that the more you share others posts and details in your blog also, the same thing will happen by others also. When other authors see that you are actually linking their article into yours, they will also do the same thing. This reciprocation is also useful for you, because it will bring lot of visitors to your post. And last but not the least, provide a very good conclusion for your blog post. There should be a very good summary for what you have written. And if there is a personal experience that you want to share about, you can write about that personal experience. If you want to just give a small twist to what you have written, you can give that. Or if you want to add a good punchline to conclude your blog post, you can add a good punchline. And always it's good thing to add a question at the end of your blog post. In your concluding paragraph, you can end with a question, so that when the reader actually finish reading your post and you are the last thing that they will read about your post is a question, they will be invariably kindled and interested to start a comment about it also. You can just end your post by saying, okay, now what is your thought about this? Please share your views in the comment box. When you conclude your post like that, invariably they will think that, oh yes, of course, this author is asking us to share our opinion about it. Okay, let us give my opinion also. So they will just go to the comment box and they will write a comment on what they have written about it, about what they have read about you, your blog post. So invariably that will engage more and more readers, because when somebody comments and when you go there and read the comment and you reply to that comment, and someone else will come and comment on that also. So the more comments that your blog will get, the more visibility it will get on the internet also, and it will obviously lead to more discussions and more sharing of ideas also. So that is more important about what you are looking at. Now, you can, as we saw, there are 2 ways in which you can start as a blogger. One is that you can start a blog on your own. You can go to Blogger or WordPress and start a blog your own and start writing. That is first thing that you can do. There won't be any charges for that also. Or there are umpteen number of public blogs on the internet also, which you can use. This is one example that I would like to share with you. This is this name of this blog is called Ala, and the subtitle is a Kerala Studies blog. This blog, you can see the URL of that in the bottom of the screen. Ala blog, ala.keralascholars.org. This is a blog which was started by a few volunteers. I am one among the co-editors of this blog. We invite writers to write about Kerala, any aspect of Kerala, whatever you need to write on contemporary or historical aspect of Kerala society, or any other aspect you find interesting on Kerala's economy or Kerala society or environment or politics or literature or sociology or architecture, arts, culture, any subject. The limitation is that it should be something connected to Kerala in some way, either Kerala in a larger sense at the state level, or you can be something on a specific location in Kerala also. You can write about Aranmula Kannadi, or you can write about the landslides that had happened in the currently in Western Ghats region, and what is the reason for that. You can look at what was the reasons why people thought the report that was submitted by Gadgil was not taken very seriously 10-15 years back, and why is that it was not taken very seriously, and why is that we have ended up in a situation like this now. You can write all that also. So we accept submissions of blog posts that engage with contemporary or historical aspects on Kerala on any topic. There is no restrictions on what you write about. Only thing is that it has to have some connection with Kerala or any region within Kerala. And you can even write book reviews on something that is written on Kerala also. And you can write in English, or you can write in Malayalam. It's a bilingual blog, so you can write in any of these two languages based on your choice. That's if you are very versed in writing in English, you can write in English, or if you feel that you are more competent in writing Malayalam, you can write in Malayalam also. And you can send your submissions by email to the email ID that we have given there, ala@keralascholars.org. And you can write a very brief author biography also there at the end of your blog post. Just insert a short bio, maybe 2 lines about explaining about what you are doing, etc. And usually we look at articles or blog posts from 1000 to 1500 words. Why we have put a limitation on 1500 words is from experience of reading on the internet itself. You yourself would have got that experience, right? Would you ever read a very lengthy post on the internet? No, you would never read. Maximum is what you can do is 2 or 3 times you will scroll up and down and you will read. So these 2 or 3 scrollings up and down is usually 1000 to 1500 words, beyond which nobody would be interested to read. So ideally you can write a post within 1000 to 1500 words. If it is less than 1000, that is always good. And you can insert 1 or 2 photographs or illustrations or tables, etc. And if it is Malayalam, you can use a Unicode font to type your article, or you can use Rajana font also. That is, a lot of fonts are there. You can choose Rajana font and word process your article. The editorial team will read your article and they will go through that and they will give you comments before it is published, and you can edit and correct your article based on the comments that we provide also. As I spoke about this earlier, you should be always careful about plagiarism. And when you are reusing the text, you should remember about providing proper attribution and citation also. You can always talk to us. You can engage with me. My details are there with you already. My contact details are there. You can always write to me, or you can call me and talk to me about if you have any clarifications. The email ID of the blog is also given there. So you can write your question first and ask us any queries and clarifications for you. Start writing also. This is just one instance actually. There are umpteen number of other public blogs also on the internet. You can choose to write with that also if you wish to use that, or you can also start your own blog by using the Blogger or WordPress platforms. And another aspect which all of you should remember is to use the social networking sites very effectively for providing maximum visibility to your blog. I have given a collage of all the mediums, right? You can see Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Snapchat. What else is there? Twitter, LinkedIn, etc., etc. I've just given them as a as a sample. That's all. So whatever you write, I'm sure all of you are having your own favorite social media platforms. So whatever you write and publish, whether you publish in a publicly available blog like Ala, or whether you write in your own blog, just take the title of the blog and just insert the link and share it in your own sites, so that immediately all your friends and your family, whoever is following you on all these social media platforms, will immediately get to know that you have published something. Some of them will read it, some of them will share it with others, they will also read it, and they will come and comment it also. So over a period of time, you will build up a lot of engagement on the internet and use this for sharing your ideas more and more. Now we will move on to a demonstration of two platforms. This is as I said earlier, there are umpteen number of free blog creation platforms available on the internet, out of which two popular ones are Blogger and WordPress. There are a lot of features, and both of them have got their own advantages of using them. If you ask me, sir, which is better, or WordPress is better or Blogger is better, it's just like asking whether coffee is better or tea is better. I will not be able to give you an answer outrightly. It's see, because the tastes and interests of each and every individual will always remain different, and it's for you to have that experience. So what I would always suggest is go to these two sites and take a look at the sample blogs, and then see which one suits you better, and then you can start publishing in them. So I will just now open the browser and show you for using WordPress. Is this screen clear? Can you all see the WordPress screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, okay.
Sure.
Now, the link, the website where you start WordPress is the same. It's easy, wordpress.com. That is the domain where you start a free blogging platform on WordPress, wordpress.com. That's it. The name is quite simple. You just need to go to this button, login. And if you have not registered, you will get a registration button and you can register. That's all. And obtain a login ID and password. It's the same thing. If you want to create a new account, just create. Those who have a WordPress login ID, you can log in here itself. Or if you are new to this facility, you can go to this create a new account, and you just need to give your email address and create a new password and then log in. That's it. It's very simple actually. I will just log in and show you. When you log in into your WordPress site, what you see here, this is what in technical terminology, this is called dashboard. Dashboard is the place where you get all your details about this blog in a single screen itself. You can see on the left side the statistics, the inbox, the details, etc. And in a single screen itself, you can see how many engagements have been there for this, etc. Or you can have any number of blogs. Actually, you can see how many blogs that I have access to, and how many. This is my personal blog. This is the blog of Kerala Library Association. This is a blog which I have created for sorry, there is something wrong in the 1 second. Okay, so now these are different blogs that I have created actually for different services. It's so you can see I will just start with my personal blog. That is much more easy for you to understand now. Okay, right. So what you see here is the basic details. On the left side, this is what we call as dashboard, and you can see the basic details here itself. On the left side, right, you have the inbox, then you have the links, the pages, the media, the settings, etc., etc. Something is happening on my laptop actually. 1 second. Okay, right. Now you can see that this is where the posts are done. You can see the posts are there, and the links, the media. If you just go to this post, you can create your first post here itself. This is where you can create your post. You can just start a new post, add a new post. You add the title of the post and then just type the contents. You can insert the media. The links to insert media are here, and then just publish the post. That's it. It's so simple actually. You can just start using, you can just play with this. If whatever you write you didn't like, you can delete the post. You can either hide the post also. Instead of making it public, if you want to change it to draft mode, you can do that. So it's not that whatever you did, don't think too much about this technicalities and all. Over a period of time, when you start doing it, you will become more proficient with this, so that you can use this in a very easy way. It doesn't require too much of technical skill to manage this. It's managing the site is not that difficult. What is important is you write more and more and share more and more with others. That is the most important thing for you. I will just show you how my blog will look like. This is how I have created my blog actually. It's very fairly simple. The links to my Twitter account, Facebook account, etc. I have given here. Then this is the header. I have just given my name itself as my blog. It's my the URL for my blog is this actually, vsrirams.wordpress.com. You can just type it on your machine and go through, because it's available on the internet itself. And I have created different pages. One home page is the place where I post the blogs, and this about is where I have written a short introduction about myself. You can see that. And then my publications, whatever I have published so far, the journal articles, the book editing, etc., whatever I have done, I have given a link to that here. Then the details of the lectures that I have taken. can see that. These are the details of the lecture that I have taken. These are the lectures and the links are there. You can also go through that. And today's I will be updating in a short while. I will update the today's lecture also here. And so these are things like you can see the right side links also here. The calendar is there, and see the right side links are there. You can see the what are the right side links. I have just given a search box, then there is a calendar, then there is a link to the recent posts that I have done, then a search for all the archives that are shared earlier, then the categorization based ones, then the links to the sites, a few links to the prominent newspapers, which these are things which you would like to do. You can change it also. This is just an example, that's all. Even my blog is not that much of a very famous one, is it? I'm just sharing this so that it's convenient for me to share my ideas. You want to look at what are the things that I write about here. In fact, for the last 1.5 years, I was actually sharing about the price increase in fuel. So I just thought I will put a log on the two-wheeler that I have, and so that people can take a look at it. You can see in April it was, what was the cost actually? It was 75 rupees, and then I just keep on adding to that so that it is people can understand. For about 1 year I did it. After that I left it out. So below that the previous post is there, and below that the previous other post is there. So like that, it's just simple, right? Now you can also have the same if you are using anyway, all of you will be having your own Google ID, your Gmail ID. So if you are using your Gmail ID, starting a Blogger account is very easy. You can see that when you have logged in into your Gmail, you have this 9 dots on the right side. If you just click that once, the additional services of blogs will additional services will be shown here. You can just select this and just click Blogger, right? This is clear. When you log into your Gmail ID, right? I will just show this once again. When you log into your email, you have this 9 dots here, which shows the additional facilities that are offered by Google, right? Just click that once. You will see all the additional facilities that are offered by Google, the services, where you will see Blogger. You just have to click this, that's all. And it will take you directly to your Blogger site itself. Clear? Okay, now here you can actually start. This is one blog which I'm maintaining on Blogspot, Blogger. Now you can actually start a new blog also here. Just click new blog, right? And then give a title to that blog. And then click next and move ahead. That's it. It's that easy actually to start a blog in Blogger. Clear? Now here also this is the same. You can just go to posts and add a new post, etc., and then just start typing. Here also the concept is the same, where each post there will be a title to the post, and then you can add the content to that. If you want to insert an image, you can insert that image and then publish it. That's all. It's very simple in that sense. And if you want to add additional pages to your blog, just like you saw that in personal, you have about us or about myself, or then different things which you have on different pages. You can create multiple pages using this page button. Also you can create multiple pages for whatever you want to share and use that also. Layout of the blog is something as we discussed it, right? There will be a header image, there will be a main screen, then there is a sidebar, right, which we saw on the earlier presentation. So these things are all customizable the way whichever theme you like, you can decide. As we discussed earlier also, there are umpteen number of templates which you can take. You can choose between whichever color scheme that you like, whichever design you want. I believe all of you can see the screen, right? Am I going too fast? Hello?
No, sir, we can
Okay,
see that.
you can see this. Okay, see, so you can see that different styles, different designs are there. You can choose any one of them. It's just, you just click that and enable this, that's it. So it's not, and today you created one design, and perhaps after 2 days you thought that you don't like it that much. If you want to change it, you can change it also. Most of these are free templates, so you can use them and change it as and when you want. Some of them are paid ones, so that you will not be able to use it for free. You may have to make a payment for that. But even free images are also, the free templates are also quite beautiful. So you can choose from that also, and select any one of them if you want. There won't be any problem with it. See this? This is the blog which we saw here. This is the place where we are actually now making the changes, and this is the blog that, this is the front end of it, which public will see. Your readers will see this actually, right? You get my idea, right? So we can change this, and then you can see how it will look like. I just change this. Now just refresh this. You can see the theme has refreshed. So it's as simple as that actually. There won't be any problem for you to change to any other theme. Whatever you like, you can keep on changing. There won't be any problem at all. Let us change this once again. I will take this one, apply. Now we will see once again here. Just refresh this, right? Clear? So changing your themes, putting additional links on the right side, those things you can think about. You can do it as and when you become more well versed with this. It's not that difficult. Any problem? There are like Blogger or WordPress has got sufficient support systems. If you go to their website, there is a support forum where you can read. There are video tutorials about how to create a blog. You can look at those video tutorials, and it will tell you how to change the theme, how to add posts, how to create posts. Everything is shown in a very simplistic way, so you can go through that, take some time, learn them, and start using them also. There won't be any problem for you about that. Now here also I will show the same with WordPress also. In fact, I was not able to show that earlier. Okay, now here in WordPress also it is the same. Earlier we were looking at Blogger. Now here also it is the same. You can go to posts, and then you can add a new post here. Click this. And add the title, add the content, whatever you want to write. Then just publish this. That's all. It's so simple actually. There won't be any problem for you to do that. And this is how the post will look like. You just go to this site here. This is how your post. You can see that. Okay, and I will just show you if you have written a post already and if you want to edit it also, that is also possible, right? You can see that here also, this is the first post that you see on the top. This is the latest one. In fact, you can see how lazy I am. My earlier post is in 2019 September. It's already 2021 October. So it's 2 years back. Actually, you can see how lazy I am in writing my own blog post. So, but here you can go to the back end here and you can edit this post also. You can just change this and go to edit, and if you want to make some changes in what you have written, you can come here and open that post and make the corrections whatever you want, and then just save that so that it will change in the backend also immediately. There won't be any problem with that, right? Now all the other things I will not explain in detail now because it might sound too confusing for all of you. Here also in WordPress, if you want to change the appearance or change the design and all, you can look at the themes. Multiple themes are there. This is the theme that I have used now here. It's a very simple theme I have selected. If I want to change the theme, I can just go here and select any theme that I want. Quite large number of themes are there to choose from. And you can see the recommended themes, then the trending themes. All themes are there if you want. You can select from that. Quite a lot, different types of themes are available. You can select from that and then enable those themes also. So all this you can try it, right? So this is for now. You can try this, and any problems you feel, any clarifications you want, you can always email to me. I will just remind you all about the aspect of writing for Allah. You can always get back to me on this, or if you want to start your own blog also, you can get back to me. I would always request you that as scholars, as serious students, you should always keep on writing, writing and engaging the public always. And blogging is the most important and very easy solution for that. And one good platform which I can recommend for you to write about Kerala is Allah, which you can always consider. It's a monthly blog actually. Once in a month, the last working day of the month, we publish this. Usually there are 3 or 4 articles or blog posts that we publish, and you can see that also. You can go to this link and then read it also. And always please consider, if you want to write, you are always welcome to write for Allah also, right? Okay, so thank you so much. Now any questions you have, I will be very happy to answer that.
Thank you, Sriram sir, for making us understand what blogging is and how to write a blog post. Now, let's move on to interactive session. You may use the chat box or unmute the microphone and gain more clarity over the topic.
Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
സർ ലൈക്ക് സൈറ്റേഷന്റെ കാര്യം ആണ് എനിക്ക് ഡൗട്ട് ചോദിക്കാനുള്ളത്. സൈറ്റേഷൻ കൊടുക്കുമ്പം ഇപ്പൊ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഹോമോജനസ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള പാറ്റേൺ സൈറ്റേഷനെ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യണമെന്നുണ്ടോ? ലൈക്ക് നമ്മൾ നെറ്റിൽ നോക്കുമ്പം പല ആൾക്കാർ പല സൈറ്റേഷൻ മെത്തേഡ്സ് ആണ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പൊ അതിൽ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഹോമോജനസ് ആയിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യണം?
Homogeneity is for the convenience of readers. Please understand that. Why is the need for, what is the logic behind having a homogeneity for citations, right? അതാണ് അതിന്റെ ഫണ്ടമെന്റൽ ആയ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ. എന്തുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു യൂണിഫോം പാറ്റേൺ നമ്മൾ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നു? Across the globe, for everything that you see, wherever possible, where there is a public interaction or involvement, we would try to make something in a uniform pattern. References adu thaneyanu uddeshikunnu. You can have one simple homogeneous citation style. If you are starting your own blog, you can have any style that you want to have, like APA or MLA or Chicago style, whichever one you feel. If you follow a particular citation style, it will be convenient for the readers to understand. That's all. So if you look at it from that point of view, you should always feel that it should be very simple and readable. So then it's ideal that you can do that. And when you are publishing with a public blog, just like Allah, we would suggest in which style you want to give a citation. Allah, of course, would always suggest that you give us in APA style. Different, just like if you are publishing with Economic and Political Weekly or any other journal, it's usually the journal editor who will decide in which style the citation should be given. The same way in public blogs also, it is the editors who will tell you that in which style you want to give. So that you can do, like there are Zotero and Mendeley and other free reference management softwares are there which you can use to create citations and references in a specific citation order also. That won't be much difficult for you. Hope I have answered your question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, welcome.
Please feel free to ask if you have any doubts regarding academic blogging.
സർ
Yes.
സർ നമ്മൾ ബ്ലോഗിൽ പോസ്റ്റേഴ്സ് ഒക്കെ ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ എനി ടോപ്പിക്സിൽ നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാമെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞില്ലേ?
Yes.
അപ്പോൾ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഡിമെറിറ്റ് എന്ന രീതിയിലൊരു ചോദ്യം ചോദിക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇപ്പം കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റീസ് തമ്മിൽ ഇപ്പം ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറയുമ്പോൾ ഹിന്ദു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റീസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇസ്ലാമിക് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റീസ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റി അവരുടെ എന്താ നല്ല കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പോസ്റ്റ് ഇടുമ്പോൾ അത് മറ്റ് ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റീസിനെ ഹേർട്ട് ചെയ്യാനും അതുപോലെ ആ രണ്ട് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റീസിന്റെ തമ്മിലുള്ള കോപ്പറേഷൻ അവിടെ ഒരു ലാഗ് വരാനും കാരണമാവില്ലേ? അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ എല്ലാവരും സ്വന്തം ഐഡിയസിൽ കൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഇപ്പൊ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു കാര്യത്തിൽ അവർക്ക് പരാമർശിക്കപ്പെടണമെങ്കിൽ അവർ സ്വന്തം ഐഡിയസിൽ തന്നെ കയറണമെന്നില്ലല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു പല ഫേക്ക് ഐഡിയസ് ഉണ്ടാവാൻ കാരണമാവില്ലേ?
തീർച്ചയായിട്ടും വരും. See, those things are always there. The problem that you have with internet in terms of people coming in with anonymous names or fake IDs and creating wrong misinformation or fake information and trying to create problems based on that, adella undu. So that you should be always aware of, and you should be very careful also. See, I am not talking about that. Right now, we are all talking about genuine people. All of you are genuine people. നിങ്ങൾ ആരും robots ഒന്നും അല്ലല്ലോ ഇപ്പോൾ ഇതിനകത്ത് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. All of you are human beings. And when we write in an open way, that would be more sufficient actually. And when you are talking about comments, like you have written something and what will happen when ABCD will come and give a very bad comment about what you have written. That may be a point that you have raised, I think. So what you can do about it? Yes, there is a facility actually in blog where you will not leave the comment box for open commenting. There is a facility there in settings where you can make it as moderated comments. So when somebody will post a comment, that comment will not be displayed immediately. The owner of the blog, if it is your personal blog, it will be yourself, or if it is a public blog, the blog will be owned by an editorial team. So they will first read the comment, and if that comment is in a good language and comment is written in a proper way, they will allow that comment to be approved, that comment to be published. Otherwise, that will not be possible. So wherever moderate, like if now I'm doing this in a daily basis, when I am there as the editor of Allah, when a comment comes, myself or other co-editors, one of us would go through the comment, and if we suspect that it is a fake ID and the comment is not in a very good way, negative comments are possible, negative criticisms are also there, but if somebody writes very deliberately to create problems, then we will not approve that. We will just delete that comment. That's all. The same thing you can also do for your post. When you write, you can change the settings so that people will not be able to comment directly. Hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What is the question? How should we decide a name for our blog, and how important is a unique name? Definitely, a name should be unique, right? Only then it will catch the attention of the reader. If you use a simple name like economics.wordpress.com, there will be 100 blogs which will start with the name economics. So you should always think of having a very unique name. How you will decide the name is entirely up to you. It's that question is quite open. You can decide whatever name you want to give for your blog. You can have a very catchy name, you can have a very ethnic name. That name can have a regional specification, or that name can have something connected to something else. There are umpteen number of ideas which you can use to decide on that. But ideally, wherever possible, if it is unique, it will catch the attention of the reader. How to make out blog posts more compatible with the search engine? That is, there is no need for you to do that actually. When you create a blog, if you are doing it in WordPress or Blogger, they are automatically captured by Google search engine. So there is no need for you to make it compatible, more compatible, etc. as it is. What you should remember is that when you use the categories, the subject categorizations, you can give proper searchable words. Like, think when you write, when you search Google, how do you actually search? So you can use the same terminologies when you are writing also, so that when somebody searches on the internet, they will come directly to your blog post for that. The aspect of your blog being curated and indexed by Google and other search engines, that is taken care of by Blogger and other WordPress, or the provider will take care of it. You need not worry about it at all. That is a technology part which they will take care. What you should remember is when you write in the normal, simple language as much as possible. Use always very popular terms. Think of the term that somebody will search on the Google. Think of the term that you yourself will search on the Google. Let us say you are writing about Western Ghats and its problems of landslides. If you want to read about it, how do you search for that in Google? Think what terms you will use to search, then use those terms also in your blog itself, so that when someone else's will search, the search will land up on your page. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. And before we conclude, we saw two examples. I spoke about one example, that is personal blog, which you can start on Blogger or WordPress, and blogs that are on the public side, right? Blogs that are started by volunteers, etc. on the internet. In between this, there can be institutional blogs also which you can design. Let us say your department wants to start a blog for the students to write, there are departmental blogs. If you go to the departments of leading universities, you will see that in all their pages there will be a facility for a blog. If you just drop in and visit the London School of Economics or any other institution, you will see there will be a blog also in it. If you just take a look at IMF website, there is an IMF blog. Or if you go to Asian Development Bank website, you have the ADB blog. Or you go to World Bank website, there is a World Bank blog. So you can see blogging is something that is very popular everywhere. Why it is so? Because see, when you write in a specialized language, in a specialized way, that is only readable and understandable to academics and researchers, while public will never be able to understand. So if the research has to be fruitfully communicated, it has to be communicated in the medium that common people will understand. And the best solution for that is to write a short blog post. Think it in a different way. You are writing a very serious academic article and you are publishing it in Economic and Political Weekly. You can also write a short 500-word blog post and publish it in either in your own blog, or you can publish it in a public blog also, and give a link to your academic article also there, so that public, when they will read your blog, they will understand the ideas in a far better way, the general public, and out of which, if someone else is interested to read your original article, they can click the link and go to the site and read the academic article also. So you can think it in that way also. Wherever you write an academic piece, there is an option there for you to write a shorter version for the public also about the same topic. So that is also something which you can think about.
Sriram sir, this is Uma here.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just want to share feedback that I received just now.
Okay.
Our former head of the department, Prema ma'am, was here. She has left and she has sent a very inspiring feedback, and I read it out. I was very interested to know about academic blogging. Sriram sir explained it well. He gave an excellent overview of the topic, and I will surely visit ALA to know who the blog writers are on this page. So I think you can expect a post from Prema ma'am.
Okay.
That's really inspiring, and of
Thank
course, I always appreciate your very sincere approach and brilliant presentation. Thank you so much, sir. This is not a formal vote of thanks. We have a student for that. I just want to say that this was well structured and truly enlightening, and you really guided all the beginners, including me. So, as you said, this was aimed at guiding our prospective bloggers, and this is the first webinar on this particular theme, academic blogging. Of course, there have been online lectures on many themes familiar to teachers, but this is a practice which a teacher like me is totally ignorant about. And of course, a teacher's ignorance should not close the doors for a student who is really interested to, who really wants to enter. So this session was really fruitful, and special gratitude to you, sir, for this highly informative. We have very innovative students, they are beginners. അതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം questions കുറഞ്ഞത്. But I think they can write to you, they can send email, അല്ലേ? വേണമെങ്കിൽ doubts ഉണ്ടെങ്കിൽ.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for the encouraging words. Any clarifications scholars have, you can always write to me. And as madam had suggested, ALA is always open for you to practice your writing skills. We started ALA specifically for that.
Yeah, I had shared the link, with our research scholars.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
And before the formal vote of thanks, I would like to appreciate the faculty coordinator, my dear colleague Nandu, and also Ganasri for her full support. And special love to our freshers, the team S1, student coordinators. You have coordinated it well. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Darshana
ma'am.
is here. Sriram sir. Darshana is here.
I just saw her joining. She had another event actually,
Yeah.
isn't it? Darshana, how was the program?
Yeah, it was nice, Sriram.
Okay, I missed it out actually.
Yeah, I think Madam recorded it. I think we can share the recording.
Okay. Madam, Darshana's School Library Association are using a blog platform for creating newsletters actually. Darshana, can you share a few thoughts about it? How we can actually use the platform of blogging for creating newsletters and magazines?
Yeah, we have a template. We have created a template for publishing newsletter, and main speciality of the blog is that we used to PDF printing of newsletter. Earlier we used to do that, but we actually we had to wait for a long time for getting articles and all. So blog was a solution for that. As and when we get the articles, we can put it there, and there is no official launching of a particular volume of a newsletter like that. So as and when we get the articles, we are putting it, and it is available online anytime. Anybody can see it and read it.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Thank you, Darshana ma'am and Sriram sir. I hope those who wanted to clarify their doubts got an opportunity to interact with Sriram sir. Now, let's invite Ms. Anupama S. Kumar for giving a feedback on today's session.
Good evening, all. Myself, Anupama, as a student of S1 Batch, Department of Economics. First of all, I would like to express my sincere thanks to all for giving me an opportunity to attending this webinar. It was an experience of its kind, an experience that I will carry with me throughout my life. I have had the privilege of learning more about a very important topic relating to academic blogging. I think this seminar helped all of us to understand more about this topic. It was also widening our knowledge on the subject. It was a golden opportunity to all. Sriram sir was very friendly to us and he opens the door to vast knowledge in academic blogging. Thank you so much, sir, for making the webinar as very informative and encourage us to post a blog using our limited knowledge and language. And once again, I would express my gratitude to all who have had a part in organizing the valuable program. Thank you.
Thank you, Anupama. Let's invite Anushka El Sabu to deliver vote of thanks.
It's my privilege to deliver out of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who make this function successful. First of all, I express my gratitude to our distinguished chief guest, Sri V. Sriram Sir, Chief Librarian, K. Raj Library, Center of Development Studies, Thiruvananthapuram. We had a lot of doubts about academic blogging, but after this section, we have got a clear idea to prepare an academic blog. It's a wonderful experience to us. Once again, I gratefully thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, I express my gratitude to our dear principal, Dr. Chandini Sam Madam, for giving us all encouragement in conducting seminars and other programs. A special mention to our dear HOD, Dr. Uma Jyoti Ma'am, for all her encouragement and support for us. Our heartfelt thanks to our faculty coordinator, Sri Nandu CJ, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics, for his guidance and welcome speech. I thank all the distinguished invitees like Prema Ma'am, our former HOD, Srimati Namita Ma'am from Srinarayana College, Varkala, Srimati Vijayalakshmi Madam, representative of Shakti of Alumni Association, Darshana Madam, librarian, KV Library, Akulam, and Ganasri Ma'am from our Department of Economics, and Aravind, our regular participants. A special thanks to our dear seniors and the research fellow of our department. Last but not least, I thank you, my dear friends, for your cooperation and active participation. Thank you everyone for taking the time to be here in this webinar and for the active participation. Thank you.